Well, don't you hate how fast your smartphone battery loses its charge, like Stan's got there? There are ways to make your phone's battery life last longer. We're joined by our Friday guy, Stan Prager of GoGeeks in East Longmeadow, to talk about just that. Happy to see you again, Stan.
Thanks for having me. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. This is a big puzzle for a lot of folks. Why does the battery seem to go so fast?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. So first of all, I'm pretty amazed how widespread the adoption of smartphones has been. The technology's not that new, but let's face it, you don't know too many people anymore who don't have a smartphone, right? And it does all kinds of great things. So you've got a camera, you've got a GPS, you can go on the internet, you can check your email, you can do Facebook, plus, dozens of other apps that you can download and do stuff with, right? So it's really cool. But each one of these things require power. Right?
And if you leave it on, it saps the juice.
Well, that's part of it, but part of it is what's set by default. In other words, I recently did a factory reset on this phone because I was having some issues on my iPhone 6, and after the reset, I noticed that my battery life was about half of what it had been before. And so I had to go back and relearn what things I needed to turn off on this.
Is this something like running in the background, like on your computer?
Yes.
There's programs running while it's on?
Well, one of the major ones is a thing called background app refresh. And I mean, these are going to be different depending on what kind of phones you have. So I'm speaking primarily to iPhones here, but these same things go on with your Samsungs and everything else, right? They all have this, they're just in a different place. So in iPhones, they're under settings, background app refresh. That means that constantly it's looking for new information. So it's eating battery, all right? So you want to take a look at what's on there. I mean, stupid things like flashlight are looking for updates, right?
That's ridiculous. How often do you use it, right?
Right, but what you can do also is there's some apps that you do want. Let's say you use social networking a lot. I use Facebook and Twitter a lot. So I want that to be looking for updates on a regular basis.
So you leave that one alone?
I leave that one alone.
Okay.
But let's say you're not a Twitter person, right? You got it on your phone, but you don't really care. You don't want that to be updating all the time.
Okay. You go into settings on that?
You go into settings on that. Background app refresh is what it's called.
And just check off the ones you don't use a lot.
Right. You could turn all of them off, like some people. I spoke to someone before the show who turned all of them off, so that what that means is that it'll only refresh when you check it.
Well, so that's what I want. Why would you care if it refreshed while you're not checking?
Well, because you might want notifications.
Oh, okay.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about. All right. So, for instance, now I receive a lot of email. So as a result, I turned off push. That's called push with mail. Push means that it's automatically, every few seconds, it's looking to see if there's new mail. It's eating a ton of battery, right?
Okay.
But if you turn push off, when I press mail, then it looks for mail at that moment, all right?
So you like that part, right?
Because I get so much mail.
Right.
If you get 2 or 3 emails a day, it's not a big deal. I get probably 500 emails a day. So for me, it's a huge battery hog. So there's other things on here that you want to...
Brightness.
Brightness. Thank you for mentioning that, because that was going to be my...
Okay, that's when I turn it bright, like when I'm sitting at the pool and I turn it on bright, but the battery just...
Exactly. Well, there is on the iPhone, and I know there's one on the Samsung Galaxy as well, there is an auto brightness. Turn auto brightness off. When I turned auto brightness off on this phone, I gained 25% more battery per day. Because auto brightness is constantly, like, especially if you're going from one environment to another. If you're sitting in the same office all day, it's not a big deal. But I'm in a car, I'm walking, I'm going to clients, what have you. So that's a constant. So you want to make sure auto brightness is turned off. And the other thing is how if you don't use your phone for a little while, it automatically goes to the home screen?
Right.
You want that to be the shortest possible time. Because
how do you do that?
It's one of the settings. It's also under settings, and it's like a sleep mode. I forget what the specific name is on this phone, but basically it'll give you so many options, like 1 minute, 5 minutes.
Oh,
whatever.
I see what you're saying. I remember that.
Yeah. The longer that you have that, the more it's going to stay lit up like this, as opposed to when it is when it'll go to that main screen and you have to slash it again. What
about real quickly now? What about if you and Emily does this? She pops up all the programs that are open and she clicks them closed so that they're not open. Do you have a couple seconds?
Well, I got to tell you that this is one of those myths.
Okay.
All right. This was told to me when I got my first iPhone that you needed to do that. I learned that for the most part, unless the app crashes, that's no longer necessary. It's one of those kind of myths that go with your phones, like screensavers on your computer.
Mythbuster Stan Prager from GoGeeks in East Longmeadow. Thanks, buddy. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
I'll tell Emily you said hello.
Please do. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, buddy. All right. Coming up, Jon Stewart.